Hi everyone, I'm Pat Prokop out here in the heavenly backyard garden. It is now early March and the garden is becoming alive, waking up from its winter sleep. And today I want to talk about what I'm doing out here in the heavenly backyard garden, the daylilies, the dahlias, my vegetables, my new tomato raised bed garden, all that information coming up to view right now here on Heavenly Backyard Gardening. So what I would like to do right now is give you a bit of a tour, an early March tour of the Heavenly Backyard Garden, showing how things are moving along and how things are shaping up for the upcoming bloom season. I call it the Heavenly Backyard because I have my telescope scattered across the yard, and I look at the heavens at night, so the heavenly aspect of it. Meanwhile, the garden, particularly in the month of May, June, and July, it's just like heaven out here, so hence the name, the Heavenly Backyard Garden. So come along and join me for the tour. Now this is what I call the heavenly portion of the Heavenly Backyard Garden, because these are mostly daylilies out in this portion of the garden, and they are awakening from their winter sleep, and they'll continue to start turning darker green and producing much more lush growth over the next several weeks. And by the end of April, but more so early May, they'll start sending up their flowerscapes. And then by the middle of May through the middle of July, this whole area back here will be just heavenly. Hence the name, the Heavenly Backyard Garden. Now, one of the things I do with the daylilies is I feed them a combination of a little bit more than a 10-10-10. It's more like a 12-8-10 formula that I like to give them to get them up and running. Also a little Milorganite, I give them that as well. I'll be doing that in the next couple of weeks. I don't want to fertilize them too early yet, but by the middle of March I'll start fertilizing these guys. I've been adding additional compost to the soil as well. One of the things I have done over the winter months is change the gardens. Let me show you. Now this area here, the entire area was revamped during the late fall and all of the winter months. Actually, I picked up gardens and moved them. This garden here is extended. There was a smaller garden further back there, and I brought it over in this area here. That garden over there is an extension from a smaller garden that I brought on over because it's in prime daylight area for daylilies. And this garden over here used to come over this way. I picked it up and moved it back over to that way. And I've been adding a lot of composted material into the garden and raising up these beds somewhat. Daylilies like good drainage. That's important. Just about everything that grows in the Heavenly Backyard Garden needs good drainage. And we get a lot of rain here in the summer months. As a matter of fact, for my location, I get about 50 inches of rain per year. That's on an average year. Some years a little bit more, some years a little bit less. But anyway, the daylilies are beginning to wake up. That's a good sign. I'm looking forward to their blooms coming along about May and June. Plus additional changes I made way over here. I extended some of these lily gardens and the dahlia gardens somewhat in this little garden space here. And I also extended this one, basically doubling its size, wrapping it around the holly tree. And I also enhanced this garden over here with, I have what I call my lily garden and daffodil garden. The Asiatic lilies and Oriental lilies will be growing in this garden over here. But this garden has been extended, got a lot more daylilies, and on the other end I'll have a lot more dahlias. Well, it doesn't end there. Way over there I have more dahlias carried over from last year. Those are a little bit bigger gardens as well. I extended them just a little bit, but they'll be loaded with dahlias. I have about 100 different dahlias now that I love to grow. Now the dahlias bloom beginning around Memorial Day, the end of May, going all through June, July, and August. And I have blooms even in September and October. Now over here I have my potatoes. I planted these in early February, around February 8th or so, and they're just starting to come up now. These are all Pontiac Reds, and they're beginning to show the tops coming up through the ground right now. This is the perfect time of the year in the South to plant potatoes. You don't want to plant them too late because it'll get too hot. These I planted in, again, middle to early February. You got a couple more weeks to plant potatoes here in the Southeast. Further to the north, a lot of people wait until after Good Friday to plant their potatoes. And Good Friday this year is going to be very late. It's going to be in the middle portions of almost mid to late April this year. But anyway, these should be ready around Mother's Day, the second or third week in May. And I should be getting, hopefully, an 8-to-1 ratio. Ideally, it would be really nice to get a 10-to-1 ratio. In other words, for every pound of potatoes I plant, I hope to get 8 to 10 pounds back. And I planted 8 pounds of potatoes back here, so I'm looking at hopefully, actually I planted 10 pounds of potatoes, so hopefully I'm going to receive perhaps 80 to 100 pounds of potatoes. I can handle that. Now beyond the potato patch, I have my Brussels sprouts. I planted these late September. They've been growing all winter long, and I put a covering over them to protect them from the insects that will be coming in the next couple of weeks. So, you know, I prefer to have nice healthy plants, even though it's good to be holy, not good to be a holy plant. In other words, leaves filled with holes from the moths and the butterflies that land and lay their eggs, and the little caterpillars that feed off the leaves, and they love these leaves. But anyway, this protects them, and this also keeps me from adding any insecticides. I don't have to use any type of insecticides whatsoever, and most of this is natural fertilizer. I do have some commercial fertilizer in there, but I have a lot of manure and other natural fertilizers on these plants here. And these should be ready. It looks like about another month. Hopefully we'll be getting some Brussels sprouts. Last winter, or during the winter months, we had that snow and sleet here, and these were covered up with that. And I didn't cover them up at all, and yet they survived. As you can see, they're doing very well right now. And nearby, this is broccoli, and I've been harvesting broccoli here since Christmas. I planted these in early October. I started getting broccoli spheres, bunches of broccoli, right around the Christmas time, and they've been continuing to produce broccoli heads all winter long, and now we're going into early spring, and I'm still getting broccoli. We just had some last night, and there's another one right there ready to harvest. The broccoli will continue to produce as long as you keep it healthy and keep it cool. They don't like the heat. Again, these are covered as well, so no insecticides whatsoever. Now I did plant the some broccoli about 3 weeks ago, which would have been in about the same time I planted my potatoes, and are already forming heads, as you can see right there. They're already forming heads, so I'm happy about that. And there's a cabbage plant that I had left over from last year, last October, and it grew through the winter as well. And over here, this is my Boccolini. That's a different type of broccoli that has longer stems, and we love the stems on the broccoli. So these are doing very well, as you can see, again, under the cover, no insecticides needed here. And they'll be ready, it looks like in about 4 weeks, I'll be eating broccolini from the garden. And if that's not enough, over here, I have some cauliflower. I just put a cover on them today. The cauliflower, the butterflies and the moths, caterpillars love cauliflower leaves, so again, I don't need to spray them with any type of insecticide. Over here next to them, I do have some red cabbage that I'm experimenting with. I'm not going to cover those up. We'll see the difference, what happens between this one and this one over here with the covers. Again, mostly organic fertilizer, a little bit of commercial fertilizer, but mostly organic, a lot of chicken manure and cow manure in these beds. Now over here is my new raised tomato bed, and this raised garden here, I have it at 60 inches long. That's 5 feet long, and 30 inches wide, which is what, 2.5 feet. And I filled the bottom portion of it here with compost from my garden way back there, my compost heap, so it's rough compost. I filled up about a little less than a foot of that with the compost. And I also threw in some garden waste and some kitchen waste, no meat, just all vegetation in there. At the very, very bottom though, I did line it with cardboard that I got from packages, basically the Amazon cardboard. And I lined the bottom of that with the cardboard. The cardboard will eventually break down. That's good news. Anyway, what I need to do now is fill this up with some good soil for the tomato plants. Now, how am I going to do that? I have 5 feet by 2.5 feet by a foot. So that comes out to be roughly 12.5 square feet, actually cubic feet of space I need to fill up. A typical bag of potting soil or growing soil is about 1 cubic feet. And I have a container here, basically, which I'm going to be adding to this system. This is black cow manure, and this is 1 cubic foot right here. So how many of these will I need to fill this up? Well, to make a long story short, since that's 1 cubic feet, I need 12 to 13 bags of soil to fill this up. Well, that's going to cost some money. You can do it if you want, but there's an easier way if you can buy it in bulk, and that's exactly what I did. This is the topsoil that I'm going to be using. It's rich compost veggie mix that I got, and I'll be filling this up with this. Instead of buying 12 bags, I'm going to use this. It's a little bit too high for me to dump this in. I have to shovel it out. That's all right. It's good exercise. I get a lot of exercise out here in the garden because I don't like using power tools if I don't have to. I like using a rake and a shovel. Now I'm filling this up now. It's early March. And in my climate here, I don't put tomatoes out until after St. Patrick's Day. Right around that time, St. Patrick's Day. Looks like this year we're going to have a frost on the 18th of March, which is okay because I don't plan to put the tomatoes out until then. So we'll be good. All right. And we'll just fill this up and come back later. Now, the tomatoes I plan to plant in this raised bed here will be Better Bush. It's a bush tomato, and the Better Bush is more or less designed for the southeast United States for disease resistance. And they just give you some beautiful, lush, yummy, tasty tomatoes about the size of baseballs and softballs. And along with planting the tomato bushes, I will be planting with them some old-fashioned marigolds. These help ward off nematodes, which are deadly to tomatoes and a lot of other vegetation as well. I already got some started here in the 6-pack. They're just about ready to pop their heads out of the ground, but I can also sow the seeds directly into the soil and they'll pop up quite fast. And also I plan to plant some basil scattered across with the tomatoes. They help also to ward off diseases and insects. Here is a little patio tomato plant I started from seeds last October and wintered them over, and now it's beginning to bloom. Here we are March 7th, and I already have blooms on this tomato plant. I'll have more about planting the tomatoes coming up in a couple of weeks when I plant the tomatoes after St. Patrick's Day. This is another daylily garden I have here mixed with gerbera daisies, and this is about 30 feet long. And I have a lot of daylilies in this area here. And again, I've been building it up with the composted material from Soil 3 that I've been buying the soil in bulk. And you can see these daylilies are already looking nice and lush. And they'll be putting on a great show come along about May, June, and July. Now over here, I have my amaryllis and agapanthus garden. The amaryllis, they've been growing now for about 5 to 7 years in this location. I added some new ones over the last couple of years. I have about 50 amaryllis now in here, maybe even more than that because they've been really doubling. And I also have a lot of agapanthus. I have the blue, the purple, and the white agapanthus in here. And also on the ends, I do have some red daylilies. Christmas ruby is one of my favorites. Another one over here, Christmas ruby, and then Spider-Man, I think that's what it is. Spider-Man, which is a huge red daylily. Anyway, this will be blooming in the month of April and going into May, and then the agapanthus will take over throughout the summer months, and the daylilies will be blooming as well. So I'll keep you updated on the Heavenly Backyard Garden, particularly throughout the months of March, which you are right now, into April, May, and June, perhaps even into July, if I can bear the heat and humidity out here in the garden. Anyway, this is we're moving into the middle portion of March, and the spring equinox comes up on March 20th, and coming up on March 13th, the night of the 13th and morning of the 14th, well, right at midnight, we have a total lunar eclipse visible in the Heavenly Backyard Garden and all gardens in the North America and Central America and South America areas. So enjoy that as well. March 20th, that's the first day of spring, and it feels like it's spring already here out in the Heavenly Backyard Garden. And if you want to know more about what's showing up in the sky throughout the month of March, take a look at this video right here. I highlighted things to see with a small telescope or binoculars up in the heavenly skies. Those were from the Heavenly Backyard Garden. Thanks for watching.